So you may have noticed that you have a problem with trusting yourself. And I'm here to tell you that that's probably a good thing because if you don't trust yourself, it's likely because something inside you is saying that you don't have good reason to trust yourself. And really, if you consider it, why would you trust someone who doesn't trust themselves? And then when you put yourself in the shoes of the one who doesn't trust themselves, and it's like, well, why would I choose to trust myself when I don't trust myself? Like, there has to be a reason why I don't trust myself. And so I've gone through this experience of not trusting myself. And now today, I really do trust myself. And it's because of the path that I chose to take. And so for me, I want to make sense of it and reason through it now because it's said that everyone has an inner sage, which is really that deep inner voice inside of us that is very alert and very knowing. And it's like a tiny whisper inside of us. And that whisper can be clouded by all the noise in our heads, all the experiences that we've had, all the patterns that we've built, and all the anxiety and fear that creates our thinking. And I'm here to say that if you don't trust yourself, it's probably that inner sage in you that is saying, don't trust the voices in your head and don't trust every feeling that pops up in your core. And so for me, it took me until I was almost 30 years old to really start trusting myself. And, I've heard people say lots of things like, you should just trust yourself. Like, if you don't trust yourself, who are you going to trust? Or if you don't trust yourself now, when are you going to trust yourself? And for me, I'm really glad that I chose not to listen. And instead, I took the proper steps to become worthy of my trust, to work on the things that were lacking, and to become someone who can pay attention without paying mind to the noise in my head or the anxiety that I feel. And instead, I just can watch and be an observer and assess what's happening in my environment by using the knowledge and the wisdom that I've gained through intentionally seeking the wisdom and knowledge. Like I had to learn to focus my attention on what matters. And I learned that what matters is not the voice in my head or the voices in my head. What really matters is shifting my attention onto the present moment. What I see, what I hear, what I feel, all of those things. And the present moment is really just, it's a stream of consciousness. It's just always happening. It's the most secure thing that I know because no matter where I am, no matter what's going on, happening is happening. Everything is just moving. And I also had to learn to quiet my mind. And by choosing to not give my mind sovereign attention, like I used to by overthinking all the time, I gave the power to really my heart, my the feeling of just paying attention and not feeling doubtful about everything that I'm doing or everything that I'm thinking and being in a realm of confusion. And so I had to learn not to trust my feelings and my thoughts just because they exist. And that has taken time. And I feel like it's a major part of maturity because many people grow older and they never break out of the pattern of thinking that they are their thoughts or always obsessing over their thoughts or identifying with their feelings. And there are some really subtle feelings and subtle thoughts that if you don't shift your attention away from them, they seem invisible. because we're just that close to that thinking. So the way that I broke out of this and began to focus my attention is I had to deal with the problem of thinking. So before shifting my thinking into the present moment, I had to realize what I was struggling with. And I struggled with uh, uncertainty. I struggled with doubts. I struggled with not understanding people, not understanding myself. And so I took the path of learning formal logic and reasoning, logical reasoning. And that gave me the tools to know how to make sense of things, how to make sense of arguments, how to reason well. And having that confidence that I can reason without bias and without doubt or without delusion or imagination uh, has been very powerful for me. And I also had to learn about the things that make me anxious, like social situations and thinking about, what to do and what to say and how people are thinking and just feeling uncomfortable and really powerless. In those situations, it's really just a feeling of feeling like not being enough or that other people know something that I don't. And the reality is, those are just thoughts and they're totally counterproductive and effectively useless for making a good path forward. And so when I learned that the thoughts are just waves of sensation and phenomena, I can just put my attention here and now and get used to doing that over time. It's a practice and it's something that never ends. What it really is something that I had to learn, which is detached observation. And I won't sit here and say I'm a master of detached observation. I will say that on the journey of practicing detached observation, it becomes more natural. And detached observation is not about detached observation, is about centering yourself. So I am centered in myself. And it's not self centeredness, it's to realize that I am consciousness, I am awareness. And here and now, there are things that happen that are greater than my mind, which is where my ego can be built and given attention to. And the power of the mind allows me to identify with the thoughts in my head like they're real. But then when I open my eyes, this has always been here the whole time. And it's greater than anything in my mind because sometimes my mind is off. Sometimes my mind is whatever my mind is doing, but reality, this world, this space, it's unending. It's always going. And I'm naturally here. I'm naturally just paying attention. Well, I am. I'm saying that naturally when I'm not thinking, things are happening. It's like if you close your eyes, what usually happens is you don't see that there's something happening behind your eyes, like there's some light there and like things are happening. But what will usually happen is you start thinking about things or you're focusing on other things. But the whole time behind your eyes, things are happening. So it's the same way, even when you breathe. Breathing is always happening, but you don't notice breathing is happening because you pay it no mind. So that's what it means to be present, is to remove all the attention from the mind. Because until you master your mind is not your friend. The mind, if anything, is a tool for the past and even the great enemy of humanity to enslave the human being by giving bad ideas to the mind and deceiving the mind and enslaving the body to the mind. the consciousness that is in the body to the mind. And it's really the worst case to be in because when you're so attached to the mind, you're either fantasizing or experiencing a nightmare or thinking endlessly. And the thoughts just come seemingly out of nowhere. And so it's important to establish oneself in reality, which is just the field of the present moment, the five senses, and I suspect even beyond, I feel. So I recommend, learning some psychology, some empathy mapping, communication skills, intentions and motivations of people, and to be able to properly assess situations around. Because being able to assess removes the uncertainty and doubt, because you've taken the time to prepare to understand how things work and why things happen. And so the overthinking becomes unnecessary. And when the overthinking happens and you're better prepared, you see it as a weakness and even as a potential enemy or as an enemy. And so it becomes less of a friend to you and it's easier to let the thoughts go when you realize that they have control over you and you don't need them, you don't want them. And beyond just learning how to assess and how to understand people, I had to make a choice of who I want to be. And there's so many options, there's so many people, that personalities and people that you can look up to. And, you have people who are extremely wealthy. You have people who are just, you have uh, successful entrepreneurs. You have people who are famous on YouTube. You have, people that you grew up around. So, and you have just different personality traits that you can choose to make one with you. But I feel like with wisdom, we choose to be that which yields the most good. So that which will give me the most fulfillment and happiness. And I observe that there are maybe people who society would claim are successful because they have resources and maybe women and people like them, they're famous. But to me, it's nothing at all. It's not worth it. I would not give up this body here or this experience for any of that, because it's far better to be spiritually strong and to be someone who walks in love. And so that's the choice that I made for myself, is to be someone who is becoming love until I am not. And so what that means is for me to properly love myself and the people close to me and as many people as I can't be ignorant. I have to learn how to properly move in harmony with my environment and my relationships, which means I need to study. I need to pay attention. I need to do the best that I can to move in harmony, because being good and being loving is not something that is really natural. There appear to be people who are kind and nice, but it's not real. I tell you the truth, in my opinion. It's only real when you love enough to grow your own self, to nourish the own goodness in you. And that includes growing wisdom and learning how to properly love someone and meeting them where they are. And so I am able to walk out and feel good, feel confident, because I know that I've chosen to be the best that I could be by choosing to be an expression of love, because that's where all the good is. It's where I can become truly wise and have good knowledge and put it to good use. And I can be at peace in myself. I can be the detached observer who is loving and attracting love all the time. And I feel like this is something that we all should choose, we all can choose. We just need to know that it's an option and put goodness and love and righteousness on the pedestal to aim for that rather than aiming for money and fame and validation, things of that sort. Those things will come with choosing love. In fact, that's my experience. My experience is ever since I've been loving, I'm respected, I'm well respected, I'm well received, and people hear from me. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful that the heart is open enough to receive someone who chooses love. And I feel like this life is evidence that it's possible. And I recommend it to everyone. I don't think there's a greater path to take than to learn to love and also learn to be loved. So I recommend each day to cultivate love in yourself and cut away the negativity. And don't be hard on yourself. It's like meditation and mindfulness. When you first begin practicing, the mind is always going to come up. And it's not easy to point the attention in the present moment because it feels foreign, but it does it on its own. And the important thing to realize is the mind is just a wave and thoughts make thoughts. And so when I'm thinking and I'm being hard on myself, I'm really just generating more thoughts. And it's harmful. And so doing that over and over again builds up the muscle of bringing the attention back and then just being steady in what you have chosen to set your attention on. Because ultimately, that's the choice we have. What do we give our attention and our energy to? And I'm recommending giving it to love, peace, harmony, and truth, because that's effectively the only thing that I can conceivably see that matters. Everything else is vanity and it leads to nowhere good because I can't think of anyone who is very wealthy but got there by means of evil who is happy. They may portray being happy, but I don't believe it for a second because what it really takes to be happy is inner joy, peace that comes from I feel just being good. And that is manifested by the relationships we have and we hold in real life. And so when we can properly nourish our relationships in life and grow to become that which yields, it yields to good and it yields evil. Being that is gives you a confidence that is otherworldly, I will say. It's the best option, and because I've cultivated this way of seeing where I can trust myself because I pay attention and I have the power to assess because I studied the things I needed to study. Because I've done this, I don't really need the opinions of other people so much. Um, it's not that I'm not open to anyone's opinion or input. It's that I've taken the time to understand my own values and I prioritize my values and I choose my values based on what's good. And I reject that which is evil or which causes suffering. And so I realize that my values are good, whereas other people have not taken the time to do this, take the step of truly understanding what their values are and changing themselves to be in alignment with good values. And so my opinion will be different than the opinions of many others because they don't seek what I seek. I love truth and I love love. And wisdom is a light that I love to see. And so for me, I don't need everyone's input about everything all the time like I used to. So I chose to listen to my inner sage, and it helped me to become someone that I can trust. And because I took that step, all the craziness of my mind that I've been dealing with for what feels like forever, it's virtually non existent now because I just don't give my mind that power. And it's slowly but surely yielding to presence and how I programmed it to be in goodness. So I'm not a therapist or psychologist or doctor, anything like that. I'm just someone who has overcome my internal struggles and I'm still working on it. Though, like, even in my efforts to work on it, I've made tremendous progress, it feels like. And so I recommend not trusting someone who doesn't trust themselves, which means if you don't trust yourself, then take the time to understand why you don't trust yourself and then become someone who's worthy of your trust. And you can do that by quieting your mind, being present, and paying attention to real life. And take some time to understand the human condition, know how to communicate with love and non-violently with people and relationships. Set your intention on having real relationships, true good relationships. Don't be self conscious, be self aware. And really, what that means is your true self is always here now. It's not in your thinking, it's not in the past. You are just here now. And see where your weaknesses are and strengthen them. So that way, where you're weak, you'll be strong. And that'll give you reason to be confident in your seeing, in your perception, in your daily life. Pay attention to your surroundings and utilize detached observation, which means you're not a slave to your emotions or your thinking. You're just moving in harmony, going with the flow. And then suddenly, once you feel like you can trust yourself, then trust yourself. You've earned it. And that's all. Peace.